How much is your car gonna weigh? Like give or take?
Probably around 1,800 pounds, maybe 1,850.
There's like 4,800.
4,800.
I don't know. It's over
Mustangs
4,000 for sure.
Mustangs are
it might be like 40. Do you have lacquer thinner in a rag? Do you want lacquer thinner in a rag?
Yes, actually.
Ooh, they about to get confused on who's who today.
Are we recording?
Yeah, I just started.
Okay, good. Okay, so today we have the carbon Kevlar splitter. We are gonna glue in all the scoops. Matt cleared these guys since we saw them last. I was really in a rush and I set them down on some paper. It doesn't matter. I also picked up the one that's hiding the thing you don't want to see. So basically what I've done is I've taped a little perimeter. I have some epoxy and I'm gonna basically just glob it all on here. Slide these guys into here. I've sanded the underside, the carbon Kevlar section too, and I've sanded the carbon, so it'll have a nice bite to it. So I'll spread it on here, slide these in, and then I'm gonna put a bunch of rotors on it and weigh it down. And then we're gonna let this dry all day, and then tomorrow we're gonna come back and Josh is gonna weld on some mounts for the splitter, and we're gonna mount the diffuser too. Good?
Yep.
So you just do it real thick and then I'll just spread it real thick?
Yes.
Teamwork make the dream work, baby.
And yes, we are twins.
That 5 minutes is way nicer because it's already like thinner.
Yeah.
Because the hardener's like more.
You know, now that you got your fancy LASIK, they should definitely know who's who. No more double glasses.
Nope. So we only have 5 minutes of working time, so.
Hence why
Also, it is,
all hands aboard.
how hot do you think it is in here right now?
I would say a good 90.
Yeah, probably 90. But well, humidity will actually probably help it not dry as fast.
Yeah.
But, and it's very humid.
Really precise.
Scared I'm like drip sweat in it.
He's prepping for a serious cavity search right now.
Just need my.
The thing is, once you really try to pull on it, it's just gonna break.
Well, now my fingers are covered in epoxy from pulling that trigger.
Yeah, and also if they're at all sweaty.
And for those who don't know, the rotors are here for weights to help secure the bomb.
Yeah, just make sure the whole thing's flat. So all these are level.
It's getting hard.
Yeah.
Probably be alright. Then once it tacks up a little bit more,
And you can hit it with
tool
the,
it. Yeah. That's a caulking term. You tool your caulk. It is a really good term. You wait like 30 minutes and then you can come back and like press it down and make it look pretty.
You can come back with lacquer thinner, which is what the little tube over there is. Lacquer thinner on a rag, and it's in my cut. Lacquer thinner on a rag, you can kind of smooth it out a little bit. Or you can just use your direct finger.
So the pros
It looked pretty good.
Yeah, it actually does look pretty good. That one's pretty hard. I think. Hit that bad boy with lacquer thinner. I'll probably just cut that with a blade.
You need to get some black steel it.
Yeah, I really do actually.
Dude, Amazon, they got it. It's very expensive.
$45.
$40 for 3.
For what?
Steal it.
What is that?
Yeah, you really don't watch on Instagram. I mean, YouTube. It's like stainless steel in a can, but you can just like spray it on anything.
Yeah. How'd you find that out?
I don't know. It was like on a Hoonigan video, and then I've seen like 80 people use it since then. MA were like, oh, now we're steel dealers if you want to get some steel.
Freaking Mike Burrows from Stansworks. That big Model A truck thing, I think he used steel it on that thing as well.
So you're telling me all you do is spray it, and it makes it stainless steel.
It blends really well with itself. I don't know.
So you're saying
it just looks cool, and it's high quality, basically spray paint.
Yeah.
That I guess maybe you can just clamp anything to and it's a ground. I don't know.
Yeah, it's these little splitter mounts you just got welded up.
I mean,
Looking really
I'm pretty
legit.
sure I am off that week.
Well, I mean, if you want to
Basically, it's just a quick release, which he's going to
I know.
give you guys a
let
little
me know, and
insight on that.
there aren't more people coming those days. Oh, doesn't line up.
You petty. Damn, you petty.
Uh-oh. Get the Dremel on.
I'm missing a nut.
You heard it here her first, folks.
Damn, this whole time I just realized my camera was on manual focus. Talk about
Hey, you're missing both nuts!
Or you could have just had a pair.
Oh, I think he actually had one in his hand to make sure that he was getting the right size nut. No, it's just trouble. You should wait to tighten them up until they're on the car, so you know it's...
Great with them great ideas.
Exactly what I thought about that before I said it. So the bottom one goes
Actually, what we
under?
want to do is set it like this first.
Underneath. And then lift up.
We'll leave it right there.
I'm not gonna clip this. All the noises.
Slides.
Mine's not lining up, Josh needs to re-weld it.
Damn, I thought it looked so super wide. I didn't realize that it actually was way wide.
It is.
I'm like, that.
He's just learning about race cars, guys.
It's cool. I'm here.
He's just
For all you
Mustang.
noobs.
He's just bought a Mustang. He's here.
This is what the viewers need, who have no idea what they're looking at.
You're
That's
right.
why a lot of popular YouTubers are popular, because they don't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
And no one else does. Like, oh,
Alright.
you got a bunch of money, you're learning as you go? I don't know what you're doing either. I feel like a lot of the times we'll talk about way too specific stuff, acting like people that are watching know what we're talking about.
And
they're
they
"Wait,
like-
what did you just say? Yeah, it's
Okay,
hard to like
looks
just dumb
great,
it down
guys.
when you're hanging out with a bunch of people that are all into cars. You're like, I don't need to simplify this for you. You understand, but like people sometimes need it to be simplified.
You shall be our apprentice. We shall teach you.
Apprentice.
We shall teach you the way. Alright, so what is this? This reminds me of the Wild Wild West movie, the Spider-Man. You ever seen Wild Wild West with Will Smith when he had the like spider contraption machine? Oh boy.
I guess I'll need to watch that.
Yep.
So, Josh welded on the quick mounts for the splitter. They're like huge, like cup washers. And these guys, obviously, this is just hand tightened on there. You got some footage of that, right? That's drilling the holes for it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so,
We didn't really tell them what was going on. It was just like,
yeah, so it's just a regular, steel 90 bracket, and they slide up into here. I bought these off of eBay. They were for a Civic. A bunch of companies make these. Some are very expensive. These were not. There's an order of operations of how I actually have to build this, because if I still have the front lip on, I can't actually put this on, because if the front lip's on, I have to have this already slid underneath, because these are obviously taller than the gap between the front lip and the ground. So basically you have to slide this under here, chill it on the ground where it is. But just so I can show you now how you, basically this little pin, this hole right here, will line up with back here. There's like a little pin behind here. So once these slide on, you just throw this pin through there. It's got like a little ball on the end of it, so it holds it. And then whenever you want to release it, you just pull that.
Does it have anything for like a cotter pin or anything to hold on to it? I'm guessing you could put a cotter pin on the end of that.
You could, but so it has one of the little spring ball guys. So that's not gonna fall out. It takes a good bit of pressure to pull it out. I'm also gonna end up running front rods to hold it, because just with where this has to mount, you can see it has to mount all the way back here. If I could mount it like really far forward or something like that, it'd be a different story. But with how far back these mounts have to be bolted on there, I'm gonna have to run some rods, which not the end of the world. I'll make them carbon, and then I'll use a similar version of this. If I can find them in black, that'd be cool. But a similar version of this to hold the rods on the front, and then also the rear diffuser rods as well. But I'm going to need your hand to set this up in just a second. Well, put the front lip on first, please. Front lip, air dam, whatever you want to call this. I did get all the guys that pre-ordered the front lip and flares and rear flares. Those all got shipped out yesterday. The only one I still need to ship out is Dustin Williams' front lip, but that'll go out later tonight.
Hopefully I can carry you over the riddling and rattling.
Grab that in. Basically, we just need to slide a little bit forward and lift it up. Slide back.
What's that on?
Yeah.
It looks like it's a line.
Okay, and then you just need to slide it back.
I just have my glasses. I'm an old man.
So as long as the little ears are above it.
I think it needs to go up just a little bit.
Oh, you already have the pins in it right now?
You left the pin in.
Ah, yes, that would cause it to not.
I was like, why is it so hard?
I don't know why I left it in. Alright. So now we have to put I built little end plates. This is just a piece of 3K, and then that really thin Divinycell foam, the same stuff we put on the diffuser, and then another piece of 3K on the other side. And then the back is a flat piece of 12K, but that's gonna go there. And then remember this little airfoil thing that I made randomly? That's how it's gonna go in between these things.
I thought
Cut one down.
I thought it was a wing for an RC car at first.
It could be that. And then this is gonna go there. So I could bolt. This is kind of an angle though, so I'm gonna see what I might epoxy this to this and then put another rivet in this so this can bolt to the top, so make this a little sturdier. But I've already drilled holes in this, and I've already drilled holes in the side of the splitter. And what we're gonna do is grab some like 5-minute epoxy, and then these are just the same riv nuts that I use. I'm just gonna
You put epoxy on them, I guess.
put epoxy on them, fill those holes with epoxy, and then press these in. Let them dry, pull out the bolts, bolt this up, line this up.
So that little wing thing that you have right there, what is that going to act as? Just more bracing or does it
Mostly
help
it's
channel
to brace this
Okay.
end plate. This is not a large end plate, so it might not even need it, but I feel like it also looks more finished.
Yeah, it looks. I like.
I mean, and it can't hurt.
Mm.
I'm so glad you spent all that time focusing exactly where I'm about to put it. It's fine. I don't know. See that?
Yep.
Okay, probably come back in a second once it starts to set up and press it in again. But
So this, you technically don't need the tool to do it to help expand it out.
I mean, honestly, this is maybe not the best way to do this. These aren't going to be holding that much pressure, because there's 3 bolts on this tiny little piece that weighs like less than a pound. But this epoxy will hold onto these grooves in here on the outside of them very well.
Okay.
Epoxy, this epoxy doesn't really have a chemical bond, it has like a mechanical bond. So whenever that's why when I glue these up and everything like that, we always use like 80 grit or 40 grit to get a really nice deep scratch so it can actually grab into it. Okay, so I pulled the 2 carbon rods that are gonna hold the main section of the splitter. I marked one so I don't get them confused, even though they're almost the exact same length, since maybe like a millimeter longer. But I got them to bolt up and be at the exact same angle, and this one, I think my left frame rail is like pushed in a little bit maybe, because this one's like about a millimeter, maybe 2 millimeters longer, but I'm not worried about it. And so I got some 120 grit sandpaper. I just cut it and rolled it into little Johnny, so we can bond the aluminum rod ends to these things. Got that part done. Both of them. I'm gonna put a little bit of
Lacquer thinner
on a rag. And then essentially, I should probably twisted it first, but it's fine. Let's see. So both of these are cleaned. Now we're getting on to 3M Scotch welding and stuff.
So this is completely different than the epoxy you normally use, I'm guessing?
Yeah, it's really similar though, honestly. But this is specific for bonding metal to carbon.
Is there like a special mix formula for it, or you just treat it how you do body filler?
Pretty much like body filler.
That's the vibes I was getting.
Yeah. About 1-to-1-ish. A little more of this. 1-to-1. And then there's these little microspheres, which just help in bonding. Can you see them? I don't even know. And I'm gonna put, for this amount, about 4 of these guys in there. And then I need to go get a mixing stick because I forgot one. So we're just gonna glob this stuff on the little aluminum ends. I kept them bolted to the car just so it would be easier to realign them. Because if these are off at all and they spin, like say I glued this on here and then I had this one off the car and it spun a little bit, I need it to line up perfectly. Because otherwise, if I put a pin in here to drop it real fast, it's not gonna align correctly and it's gonna be a son of a bitch. See there, just glob it on there. It's okay to be a little messy because Well, you probably should put enough for it to actually like ooze out, but you're gonna come back and clean it up with some lacquer thinner on a rag. And even though these look fairly small, like thin,
So what's the dry time like?
this stuff actually takes like 48 hours to fully cure. Overnight it'll be workable where you can like pull it off and stuff like that. So just got some lacquer thinner on a rag. Clean it right up.
Dude, those look dope.
Love it. And I actually wanted to do a strength test on these. Because even though this is a small rod, carbon fiber's tensile strength is very high, and it's and this bond is supposed to be very good as well. So I actually bought 2 spare rod ends that I want to glue into a little spare bit of rod that I have, and I want to kind of do a strength test and see how much weight it takes to actually break this apart, because I'm going to use it on my front splitter as well. I got 40.2, 40.1, that's fine. So now I know where, take this off, now I'll know where I can run the bolt into here to run another one of those same riv nuts to bolt this side in. And then I'm gonna come by with a razor blade once this is unbolted and cut this out of here, sand this a little bit, and then epoxy that in place. Boom. Just telling Xavier about my dad used to always yell at me for using hand tools when I was little and I was working at the shop because it wasted time. He didn't yell at me, he was very nice about it, but he's like, buy you all these air tools, because we had like little mini air ratchets. They had like little swivels on them, they were real nice, and I would always just use my hand ratchet. He would get so mad at me. When I was probably like 14 or 15.
I think that's what makes it funnier. It's like when you're young, you really don't pay that any mind. You're like, oh, it's working, so.
Yeah, it's just working extra slow. It's fine. People always look at my hands. Give me weird looks. Like I'm like a homeless man or something. So we got one done. I'll do the other one tomorrow or something. But next we're actually going to push this thing around, get up on a lift, pull the trans so we can space out my, not slave, but
Release bearing?
yeah, the dual clutch.
Hydraulic release bearing.
Yeah. So we'll go about to get it to move so we can actually drive it. So all we need to do is drop the trans, space that out, put the trans back up, some other small little wiring stuff, and we're ready to drive. So as soon as that's done, we're gonna get the alignment done, send it to Josh to do some street tuning. While he's doing that, we're gonna make the fenders.
Did you ever get the replacement ones?
I got one in today.
Oh, okay.
Yes, the
So-
other one, yes.
For those that are getting impatient,
I think
big
we're
update.
We're like 3 or 4 episodes away from being on the
yeah.
street drive.
The one guy was like, Oh my god, we're gonna have to wait another year. I was like, I highly doubt it, but
Hey, you know what? The joy of like building this thing
Yeah.
is the best part. So I'm not in any rush to get it done. I'm really excited to drive it, so kind of.
I'm not gonna lie, I missed the process of being able to build something. It's like when you have nothing to do, it's just like, all right, I guess work out the kinks so you can break
Yeah,
stuff.
That's really important as well, but not as excited. But and we do have another cool project
Floating.
in the way.
Yeah.
Where we've slowly accumulated some parts. They're sitting around the shop. They're hidden. You will not find them.